Good morning, children, 10th class student. Let us continue with the chapter Globalization. Is that clear? Okay, yesterday we had studied the transformation of Indian markets because of globalization. That is, markets has been completely transformed because of multinational corporations entering into our market. Multinational corporations are not only selling the goods all over the world, but they are also producing goods all over the world. We had seen these two examples by production across countries and interlinking production across countries. Then we had studied about foreign trade. What is exactly foreign trade and what was the condition of foreign trade earlier and what it is today. Earlier, foreign trade used to export, that is, under developed countries, they used to export only raw material. And the developed countries, they used to export all kind of finished goods and technology. But today, it has been changed. Okay, then we had studied that is what is exactly globalization. Globalization, that is integration of world economies or interconnection between world economies, that is called as globalization. There are three factors which has enabled globalization. The first is technology, which we had discussed yesterday. Means of communication and technology has transformed entire movement of goods and capital. It is not only goods and capital, but it is also services and people who are being transported from one place to another. This is, and beside this, we can get any information, we can buy any product from the world because of technology. It has, okay, this is a remarkable development which has occurred in all the economies of the world, and that has been possible just because of satellite communication. The second point I was talking about is liberalization. Liberalization means being liberal. That is, earlier what used to happen, that if things were coming from other country, they used to have import and export taxes. And the thing when they came to from other countries, say for example, if it came from European country, it used to become very expensive for Indian consumers because import duties were levied on it. And because of the import duties, the thing used to become very expensive. Now, these import duties and export duties has been removed. They are called as tax barrier. And these tax barrier, under the impact of liberalization, they have been removed. Okay, here we are going to discuss one more thing. What used to happen, children, that when we gained independence, that time what used to happen, that is our producers were under a lot of pressure. Our producers could not compete with the foreign market. Okay, plus they were not so strong to undertake any kind of such a, large investment. That time, the government thought that these producers need some kind of protection. To give them the protection, then what was being done? Import and export duties were levied, were imposed. Import and export duties was levied so that people in the country, they buy the indigenous product, the product which are made in our country, they are manufactured in our country, just to provide some kind of protection to these Indian producers. Okay, that was also a time that we were having a very strong public sector, what is called as PSC, public sector undertakings. Public sector undertakings, that is roadways, railways, then banking, then communication, this was all in the hands of government. Okay, dams construction and so on. This was all under government sector or public sector. Why? Because private sector was not having the capacity to invest such a large amount. So public sector was, it played a very dominant role, and it was providing a structure, a base to our country. Okay, then that was also the time that we used to think that government jobs are always better. Today, we don't have this kind of conception. We always believe that it is private job that we have to apply for. So public sector was quite strong and quite dominant in our country. Okay. Then what used to happen after 30 to 40 years, it was observed that these public sectors, which were supposed to make profit, it was actually making what? Losses. Okay, and Indian government, somewhere in the 1990s, it was realized that Indian government had taken a lot of loan from IMF and World Bank. So much so that leave aside the principal amount, it was not even able to pay the interest. Okay, when it asked, that time 1991, I'm talking about, PV Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister of our country and Manmohan Singh was the Finance Minister of our country. That time when we asked for more loans from IMF and World Bank, we were asked to change our economic policy. Is that clear? We were asked to change our economic policy. Manmohan Singh, whom we consider as, as a very quiet man, he's an intellectual. And he was the person who framed our new economic policy that was called as 1991 New Economic Policy, which was based on three things. Pay attention: globalization, privatization, and liberalization. It was based on three things: globalization, privatization, and liberalization. Globalization, you all know. Liberalization, we know, that is removal of all kind of tax barrier. And privatization means except some of the sectors, say for example railways, okay, all these sectors were now open to the private sector. Why? Because after 50 years, it was realized that now the Indian producers should be strong enough. Whether they are strong or they are not strong, that is not our lookout. Should be strong enough to face the competition of the world. Believe me, children, competition is always better. It makes you a much more better person, a much more capable person, a much more person with a broad outlook, with a broad perspective. And it was realized by the Indian government that now it is the time that the Indian producers should compete with the foreign market. And that is why our new economic policy was based on globalization, privatization, and liberalization. Because of that only, our market was transformed. This is called as your new economic policy. Is that clear? Okay, so this is all we are going to study in liberalization. Around 1991, important changes were made in the Indian economy. It was thought that competition improves the performance of the producers and their standard. This was again supported by World Trade Organization as well as IMF. Thus, barriers on foreign trade and investment were removed to a large extent, and foreign companies were allowed to come and invest in Indian market and set up their offices and factories in India. So then we see what, that is, after this we see the arrival of multinational corporations, which has transformed entire market. It has made the market better. It has helped the consumer to make a wide choice among various kind of variety at lower prices. Okay, this is the impact of globalization. Clear, children? Now, we are going to study the third factor, that is called as World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization was set up somewhere in 1995. Which year? 1995. 1995. Its headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland. Geneva, Switzerland. It is having, as per 2016, it is having 196 member countries. And it was set up at the initiative of not underdeveloped countries, but developed countries. And the initiative of developed countries, and it was said that all the countries should allow free movement of goods, people, services, and capital. World Trade Organization was set up with this initiative by the developed nations, okay, to liberalize international trade more and more. 2016, it is having 196 member countries. World Trade Organization was supposed to allow for trade to all, okay, to make the trade free, but it is not working in a fair manner. Okay, it is still what it is happening that it is more biased towards developed nations, and because of this only there is lot of agitation against World Trade Organization also, and against some of the MNCs also. If they go and invest in some other country, there is one chapter in your political science which tells you about Bolivia water war. That is also one MNC had gone to supply water, because earlier it was supplied by municipality. People revolted against it because they were getting a very high say bill, water bill. So they all revolted, and then MNC had to fly from the country, had to run away from the country. Anyways, we know we are talking about World Trade Organization, which was supposed to work in a fair manner, but it is not working in a fair manner. Why? Because today also we see that World Trade Organization, it claims that every country should open its economy free. But we see that developed countries have retained their trade barriers. When you export certain things to America, if it is open, it is not allowed. But whatever America wants, it is nicely dumped in the Indian market. Why? Because Indian market is a very wide market. Everything is consumed over here. That is why the markets of the underdeveloped countries, they were considered as a dumping ground for the developed nations. Okay, and they have retained their trade barriers. Whereas WTO claims that they should allow free movement of everything, but this is not working in a free manner. We are going to discuss once again that is struggle against World Trade Organization. So these are the three factors: technology, liberalization, and World Trade Organization, which has enabled globalization. Is that clear? Okay. Next, we are going to study about impact of globalization. Now, when we talk of impact of globalization, it has been both negative also and positive also. But it is more of positive and less of negative. Okay, let us see how it impacts. First of all, let us see on consumer. We now find, for the consumers, we find, what do we find? Consumers are 100% benefited. Why they are benefited? Because they can now enjoy improved quality, wide amount of choices, and that too at lower price. Is that clear? So improved quality, wide product, wide choices, and lower prices. All these things has been happening for the consumers. So consumers are benefited. If we see producers and workers, okay, MNC basically is interested now for the producers as well as for workers also. One thing we have to remember that, children, that multinational corporations, they are basically interested in industries like cell phones, automobiles, fast food industry, banking services. So actually the benefit is not going to everywhere in the country, because 50% of the Indian population is living in villages, and it is not going to the villages, multinational corporations benefits. It is only benefiting the urban dwellers, the city dwellers, and the well-off buyers for whom new jobs and services has been created. So this is one, both positive as well as negative. Jobs has been created, but not everywhere. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about Indian companies. Several of the top Indian companies, they have also benefited. How they have benefited? That is, they can now increase the competition. They have increased their competition. They have got new technology. They have got new production method, as well as many collaborations also. So they have benefited what they were just small Indian companies, which has now become multinational corporations. Okay, so they have benefited. Okay, then we find many of the Indian companies, they have emerged as multinational companies today. Their shares are listed in Wall Street Exchange also, Nasdaq, Dow Jones, Wall Street. Okay, say for example, Infosys, Tata Motors. Ranbaxy, and so on. All these companies are big companies whose shares are listed on the Wall Street Exchange also, that is America share market. Okay. Globalization has created one very good opportunities in the IT sector. Several of the Indian skilled engineers, they are now employed in various call centers and outsourcing centers. Okay, so they have got a wide variety of jobs. Let us see about the small producers. This is all about the top Indian companies. When we see about the small producers, okay, we find globalization has affected them very badly. Why? Because these small producers, with their limited capacity, they have to compete with multinational organizations. If they can compete, then fine. If they cannot compete, they have to perish. They are forced to shut down their businesses. That is why when Wall Street came to Walmart came to our city, there was a lot of agitation. There was a lot of education against it. Anyway, globalization has been a challenge for them as they might either compete or perish. They have been hard hit by competition and several of the units have shut down. Okay, example. Now, one more thing. Many a time, not only small producers, let us talk about workers also. When we talk about workers, what happens is this. Say, for example, this example is given in your book about a woman who was working in a garment factory where she was working in a garment factory that whenever it was the peak season, she used to get the job for many hours and she used to do overtime and earn money. But when the peak season was not there, she was not called also. Okay, so in spite of the fact that she is working in an organized sector, that is NNC, which is making huge profit, this worker is denied the benefits which one should get if they are working in a organized sector, because when it is the peak season they are called, when it is not the peak season they are told to take rest at home. Okay, MNC in a garment industry employed workers not on permanent basis but on temporary basis. So benefit of organized sector is not given to them. During the peak season, worker work overtime. So MNC can make huge profit, but workers are denied a fair share of profit and are working on temporary basis. Is that clear? So in this manner, remember that 50% of the population is living in villages in our country and MNCs have not entered into the rural sector. Let us talk about now struggle for fair globalization. Now, globalization today, it is a reality. It is a reality. It is happening in every economy. However, not everyone is benefiting from globalization. Okay, people who are educated, who have skill, they have benefited. Since, okay, so the question before us is how to make globalization more fair so that it can create opportunities and benefits for everyone. In this regard, government can play a very important role. Government can play a very important role by interfering wherever globalization is not working in a fair manner. Say, for example, labor laws. Government can implement labor laws, minimum wages. It can also do this minimum wages also. Labor laws should be implemented properly. Workers should get all the rights. Support should be given to small producers if necessary. Government must use trade barriers also wherever it is required and whenever. Also, since World Trade Organization is not working in a fair manner, then they should always negotiate with World Trade Organization. Massive campaigns and representations have been taking place all over the world against the unfair policies of World Trade Organization. And it is also said that if these underdeveloped countries, they form a union against this World Trade Organization, then it will be forced to work in a fair manner. Say, for example, here an example of agriculture is given in your book that American farmers, they form only 1% of the population. Okay, they are getting huge subsidies and huge financial help from the government. Because of all this financial help, because of all the mechanization, because of all the modern methods, they are able to produce of large amount of production goods, that is crops. Okay, and then they can control the price and export it also to the other countries. Whereas when we take our country, India, our government is not giving so much of benefit to the farmers. But because the things are coming from other country, they also are forced to slash down their price. It is here that the government should interfere and protect the farmers of our country because they need dire help. Is that clear, children? This completes your chapter of globalization. Tomorrow onwards, we are going to start with our writing part of globalization, children. Okay, once we complete this chapter, that means your economics is completed, your history is completed, your political science is also completed. What is left is geography. Plus, I also have to give you the list of map work. I think I have given or not, I do not remember clearly, but still I'll be giving you. Once again, I'll be giving you all on Thursday. Okay.